Hey, what's up, everyone? Raging Golden Eagle here, having way too much fun, as always. So I was in a little bit of a Twitter conversation earlier, and yes, conversation. For once, it wasn't an argument or a fight or nothing. It's an awesome feeling, actually, having a conversation. And of all people, Wanger asked me a question. He was basically wondering, like, how do we even tell the difference, or it's hard to tell the difference between legitimate criticism and some fucking outrage mob in this day and age, or concern trolling. Basically, NPC infiltrators trying to feed you bad information to get you to sabotage your products. So I'm actually here to explain. There is one way that you are 100% guaranteed to be able to tell the difference between real criticism and just the reeing of an outrage mob. So this is going to blow your guys' minds, but here you go. All it takes to be able to tell the difference is to just be a real fan of what you're making. If you yourself are a fan of what you are creating, then this will be pretty damn easy. If you're a real fan, you can tell the difference between legitimate criticism and a reeing outrage mob, which is why we're making Blade Devil the way we like it. Blade Devil is a story that I like to read and look at, and it has some awesome titties. So, yeah, I'd be able to tell. The fake geek girls that'll try to get you to make bad decisions, they always claim, oh, I've been a lifelong fan of anime, D&D, gaming, whatever, and yet just having a conversation with them, you can tell they have zero knowledge or understanding of what they claim to be fans of. Yeah, like those cucks at those Evil Hat Studios. Yeah, the guys that went woke with Call of Cthulhu. Now they took out insanity mechanics in the game, and oh, you're a fucking badass now. You're not just at the mercy of these elder gods. They have no understanding of the of Lovecraft's mythos at all, at fucking all. Yet they will probably claim to have been lifelong fans. So another funny thing is, too, like all of these lifelong fans, conveniently, they only arrived on the scene after it became popular. And those of us who actually have been lifelong fans only remember seeing them making fun of us for being fans before. But now that it's popular, though, I've always loved Magic the Gathering. Even as I was making fun of RGE and the other nerds at the Magic the Gathering table at lunch in high school, I secretly always loved the game. Yeah, sure you did. Yeah, sure you fucking did. So yeah, someone who's actually been a lifelong fan can clearly tell now who all these fakers are and their fake fucking advice. You want to know another good example though? Fighting games. Fighting games. So, I'm not even that big of a fan of fighting games myself, but even I can understand this. So imagine you're making a fighting game, and the advice you get is always stuff like, oh, can you add more RNG so that this will be more fair to players who aren't that skilled? Like, well, it's not fair that it takes months of practice to be good at this game. Could you make it easier? Those aren't real fighting game fans. Any real fighting game fan will tell you that. When it comes to fighting games, it's all about skill. There's no, or maybe on occasion there's very minimal RNG, but those aren't really the games that are popular in competition. No, competitive fighting games are 100% skill-based. It's all about not only mastering your main character, but you have to memorize the moveset of every other character in the game, because you can be fighting against all of them. You gotta learn, at what parts of their combo they're invincible, like where the iframes are, so you know when you can counterattack and when you have to either block or dodge. All of that shit you need to do if you want to become good at a fighting game. So if anyone comes in and claims that they have always been fans of fighting games and shits all over the core concept of fighting games, you know it's bullshit. You've been a real fan. And this right here, all of this shit, all of these NPCs, this concern trolling these fake fans, they would not be able to get away with what they're doing if real fans of these games or whatever other property were still in charge of these companies. And this is where we run into the fucking problem. This is also one of the reasons why hobbies die the second they go mainstream, because part of the process of going mainstream when these companies become publicly traded and all that is fucking professional managers and accountants and bean counters get put in positions of power at these companies. They're the ones in charge. They're the ones making the decisions. It used to be by fans for fans. Now this hobby that used to be that has been turned into lowest common denominator garbage made by focus groups for nobody. Because the bean counters, the people who have been put in charge of these companies, are not and never were actual fans of the products these companies make. And the products they shit out show it. It's so fucking obvious. When the people in charge aren't fans themselves, of course they can't tell the difference between legitimate criticism and a reeing outrage mob. That's literally all there is to this. It's not hard at all to be able to spot legitimate criticism if you yourself are a legitimate fan of the thing being criticized. This is only a problem for outsiders who have no fucking business making these decisions in the first place. These fucking bean counters, all they see is a bunch of SJWs crying that games are too hard and they need an easy mode. And then they're like, hey, that's right. This fighting game could appeal to a wider audience if we just made it easier. All the real fans the entire time are sitting there telling them, like, no, you dumbasses have no understanding. You do not understand this game or this community. You're clearly not a part of it. You're clearly not fans. Don't do this. You're going to destroy it. So then they respond with, oh, you're toxic and we don't want you anyway. And then they wonder why they go broke. And this right here is what happens when people who aren't fans of the products their companies are producing suddenly gain power in these companies. This is why creator-owned projects, indie projects like Blade Devil, that's the advantage we have. See, us, we're making our own comic. Both me and my artist, we really love the characters, the story, the concept. We love this comic and we want it to succeed. Meanwhile, the suits, the higher-ups at Marvel or DC, it's just a paycheck to them. They're just shitting out whatever they believe will get them the most amount of money. So they appease whoever's whining the loudest. Well, unless it's their own fans whining, then they just call them toxic and say they don't need them anymore. But you know what? Fine. If these dying legacy companies really wants to go down this path, I'm fine with it. I'll be right here to take all the customers they're chasing away. And that's all I got to say, guys. Thanks for listening. In case some of you aren't aware yet, we actually have launched the Blade Devil merch shop. Link in the description box. So if you've ever wanted to support the channel but actually wanted something physical in return, we got the shop for you now. Lots of good stuff up in here. So if you would like any of those, or just in general want to support the channel, want to support original content, original products, like Diversity in Comics always used to say, then this is probably the best way to do it. So check it out. We're going to be adding new items on a monthly basis, at least in the near future. So check back often, and independent projects like the ones we're working on are only possible thanks to you guys. So appreciate all of your support.